بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. O Allah, surely we do not possess any knowledge except for what you have taught us. Indeed, you are the all-knowing and ever-wise. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima allamtana wazidna ilma. O Allah, teach us that which will benefit us and benefit us with what you have taught us and increase us in knowledge. Allahumma innana na'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa'. O Allah, we seek refuge in you from knowledge that does not benefit, that does not lead towards action. وَمِن قَلْبٍ لَا يَخْشَعْ, from a heart that is devoid of khushu'. وَمِن نَفْسٍ لَا تَشْبَعْ, and from a soul that is devoid of contentment. وَمِن دَعْوَةٍ لَا يُسْتَجَابُ لَهَا, and from supplications that are not answered. ثُمَّ أَمَّا بَعْدْ السَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ وَبَرَكَاتُهُ. Welcome everyone to our lecture, The Importance of Learning the Arabic Language. And first off, وَلِلَّهِ الْحَمْدِ, we'd like to thank Allah Azza wa Jalla for decreeing and allowing us to be here in this lecture. There are many things we could have spent our time doing right now. However, Allah Azza wa Jalla has chosen us. He has chosen us to be here together, seeking knowledge of His deen. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make us of those who sincerely meet for His sake alone, and as a result shade us on the day in which there's no shade but His. After that, I would like to remind myself and implement a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, narrated and collected by Abu Dawood in his Sunnah, where he said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "La yashkurullaha man la yashkurun nas." So I would like to thank the admins at Treasures of Knowledge for their good thoughts of their brother in Islam and inviting us to conduct a lecture like this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them, place barakah in their work, accept their efforts, and make it a proof for and not against them. We would like to also thank all of you, the attendees, for taking your time, sacrificing your time in order to learn about your deen. As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Man yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqihu fid din," that whoever Allah wants good for, He grants them understanding of the deen. And scholars have mentioned under the commentary of this hadith that in order to understand the deen, one has to actually exert themselves in learning it. And how do they do that? By attending classes, whether it is physical classes or online classes. Al-Muhim, you have to attend and seek out classes to learn about your religion. So without a doubt, you being here right now is a sign that Allah Azza wa Jalla wants good for you. Just think about that. Allah, Rabbul Alameen, the possessor of everything in the heavens and earth. Subhanallah bihamdi. He wants good for you. And how do you know that? Because He has allowed you to join this class, to be here right now in the circles of remembrance. Walillahil hamd. So remind yourself of this, O servant of Allah, Ya Abdullah, Ya Muhammad, Ya Zayd, Ya Aisha, Ya Khadija. Remind yourselves of this blessing of Allah Azza wa Jalla. As a result, it's upon us to be thankful. Allah Azza wa Jalla has favored us with spending our time learning about our deen, so we have to be thankful and express gratitude via statements and actions. Khayran. And scholars, they have mentioned that in order for a person to be considered among the shakireen, those who are grateful, those who are thankful, they must fulfill 3 conditions. Tayyibeen. And perhaps you will be asked about these conditions at the end of the class. So, Tuba liman kataba hadhihi al-fa'idah. Glad tidings be to the one who will write down this benefit. The 3 conditions, the first being الاعتراف بأن هذه النعمة من الله فحسب. It is the recognition that the blessing that Allah Azza wa Jalla has bestowed upon you is only from Him, and is not from your intelligence, is not from your hard work. Rather, is only from Allah Azza wa Jalla. He is the one who has chosen to give you that blessing, as there are many people who are more deserving than you. However, He has chosen us and favored us with these particular blessings. So we have to recognize that in the heart. The second is استعمال هذه النعمة في طاعة الله. The scholars they mention is using الاستعمال أو الاستخدام, يعني utilizing this blessing that Allah has bestowed upon you in the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Allah has blessed you with time, then you spend that time in His worship. Allah Azza wa Jalla has blessed you with health, good health, then you use that opportunity to worship Allah Azza wa Jalla, to pray in the masjid 5 times a day if you're a male. Khairan, to pray on time. Allah Azza wa Jalla has granted you a nice iPhone, a nice Samsung phone, laptop, tablet. Then use those devices in order to listen to the Quran, to listen to lectures. Yani to spend your time in His obedience. This is from the means of being thankful. And the third and last condition, if a person fulfills it, then they're among the shakirin bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, is at-tahadduth. وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. To speak about that blessing. Remind each other of that blessing. Alhamdulillah, we are Muslims. Alhamdulillah, Allah has guided us to Islam. Alhamdulillah, Allah has granted safety in our lands. Alhamdulillah, bombs are not dropping down on our homes. Alhamdulillah, we have food in the fridge. You remind each other of these blessings in which many people take for granted. Wallahu musta'an. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's aid is sought. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So let us show gratitude. Let's show gratitude. Allah has granted us another day to breathe, another day to be a Muslim, another day to change and be better, another day to attain higher levels in paradise and save ourselves from the fire. So let's show gratitude by practicing this deen the way it's supposed to be practiced. Allah Azza wa Jalla has allowed us to seek knowledge today, right now, at this moment. So let's show gratitude by paying attention to what will be shared today, inshallah ta'ala, and have a firm resolve, an azm, to begin or continue our journey in learning the Arabic language. Don't just attend this lecture and khalas, you spend the rest of your life not implementing anything that was said. Okay, that's not the purpose of this lecture. To just come, sit down, listen, and khalas, goes in one ear, comes out the other, as they say. You should have the intent of having a better relationship with the Arabic language after this course, having a better relationship with the Quran, right? Spending time learning the language of the Quran and the Sunnah. This should be your intent and what you should have a strong desire and will to implement bi'idhnillahi ta'ala after today's lesson. Khairan. So alhamdulillah, today we're going to listen to some of the texts from the Quran and Sunnah and speech from the ulama of our deen among the Salaf and Khalaf regarding the Arabic language. Currently we have, mashallah, tabarakallah, we have a good amount of brothers and sisters, and I'm pretty sure that you guys are mutafawitun. You're on different levels in terms of your understanding of the Arabic language. Some of you may be beginners, some of you may be intermediate, quote unquote, or advanced. Allahumma barik. So some of what we share today may be new to a few of you. Maybe some of you have heard everything before. Wallahi alhamd. So I pray that this lecture will be as what was mentioned by Al-Hafiz al-Iraqi in the beginning of his Alfiyah in regards to the Mustalah Hadith. نظمتها تبصيرة للمبتدي تذكرة للمنتهي والمسندي. Yani he said when he authored his 1,000-line poetry on Hadith terminology, he said in the introduction that he made this poem as a tabsiratan lil mubtadi, as a means of teaching, insight, knowledge, new information for the beginner, and as well as a reminder for the expert, for the proficient one. So we hope this lecture will also be a source of guidance, new information, benefit for the beginners, as well as a reminder for those brothers and sisters who have already heard this information. طيب. And hopefully at the end of this class, inshallah ta'ala, we will become motivated in studying this beautiful lugha, this beautiful language. طيب. One thing I would like to mention that I was reminded by the admin is that at the end of the class, there will be an exam, a quiz for the attendees. I'm not sure exactly how it will be conducted. How admin will explain, inshallah ta'ala. And if you fulfill the requirements and you pass the exam or the quiz, then alhamdulillah, we will offer you a free beginner Arabic course at Keys to Knowledge, bi'ibnillahi ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all at-tawfiq, success. Allahumma ameen. So let's begin. The title of this lecture is The Importance of Learning the Arabic Language. And when we are speaking about the importance of learning the Arabic language, billahi alaykum, by Allah, I ask you all, who is better to explain the importance of this lugha than Allah himself, Rabbul Alameen? No one. So then let us listen to what Allah Azza wa Jalla had to say about this beautiful language in his book. Allah Azza wa Jalla, he says in the beginning of Surah Yusuf, Alif Lam Ra, Tilka Ayatul Kitab al-Mubin, Inna anzalnahu Qur'anan Arabiyan la'allakum ta'qilun, which could be translated to mean, these are the verses of the clear book. Indeed, we have sent it down as an Arabic Qur'an so that you may understand. Surah Yusuf. When commenting on this verse or these two verses, Ibn Kathir, Al-Hafidh Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وَذَلِكَ لِأَنَّ لُغَةَ الْعَرَبِ أَفْصَحُ اللُّغَاتِ وَأَبْيَنُهَا وَأَوْسَعُهَا وَأَكْثَرُهَا تَأْدِيَةً لِلْمَعَانِي التي تقوم بالنفوس. He said that the Arabic language is the most eloquent, plain, deep, and expressive of the meanings that might arise in one's mind. Subhanallah bihamdi. Therefore, the most honorable book, meaning the Quran, was revealed in the most honorable language to the most honorable prophet and messenger, delivered by the most honorable angel in the most honorable land on earth, in reference to Mecca and then Medina. And its revelation started during the most honorable month of the year, Ramadan. Therefore, the Quran is perfect from every aspect. Subhanallah bihamdi. Allah Azza wa Jalla, he says in another part of the Quran, Surah Shu'ara, بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ, that the Quran is in a clear Arabic tongue. Abu Hussein Ahmed bin Faris, who died 395 years after Hijrah, he said about this verse, فَلَمَّا خَصَّ اللِّسَانَ الْعَرَبِيَّ بِالْبَيَانِ عُلِمَ أَنَّ سَائِرَ اللُّغَاتِ قَاصِرَةٌ عَنْهُ. He said, rahimahullah ta'ala, considering that Allah selected the Arabic tongue, the Arabic language, for bayan, yani eloquence as well as clarity, it is understood that the rest of the languages are deficient compared to it. SubhanAllah. Any other language besides Arabic is deficient when it's compared to the Arabic language. Allahu Akbar. And Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, in his explanation of this verse, among the major scholars of our time, was passed away, subhanAllah bihamdi, it's almost 20 years now. La ilaha illallah. It's been almost 20 years since he has passed away. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him. But it's as if he's still alive, as we still have many books authored by him. How many students still read from his books, teach the people his books, how many mashaykh explains his books. SubhanAllah bihamdi. How many times have we listened to lectures by him on the radio, on YouTube? It's as if he's still alive. La ilaha illallah, due to his works. May Allah Azza wa Jalla have mercy on him. He said about this verse, وفي هذا إشارة إلى أنه ينبغي أن تكون اللغة العربية لغة جميع الخلق. In this verse is an indication to show that it is incumbent for the Arabic language to be the language of all of creation. لأن الشرع الذي نزل بها شرع جميع الخلق. And that is because the legislation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had revealed, it is the legislation for all of creation. فَكَانَ يَنْبَغِي أَن تَكُونَ اللُّغَةُ الْعَرَبِيَّةُ لُغَةَ جَمِيعِ الْخَلْقِ. So therefore it is incumbent for the Arabic language to be the language of all the people. خِلَافًا لِمَنْ يُرِيدُونَ أَن يُذِيبُوهَا فِي أَسْرِنَا الْحَاضِرِ. Despite the fact that there's some people who want to water it down. They want to water down the Arabic language in our current times. And they seek to place al-lugha al-amiyya, they seek to place the lugha al-amiyya makan al-lugha al-arabiyya, yani in place of the eloquent Arabic language. Subhanallah bihamdi. So Ibn Uthaymin rahimahullah ta'ala, he told us, he said in the Tafseer of this verse, that is incumbent for the lugha Arabic language to be the language of all people. SubhanAllah, not just people who live in a certain part of the world. La. This lugha is not just for Arabs. People who live in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Misr, right? Libya, yani Aljazair, these places. La. Rather, the Arabic language has to be the language of all the Muslims and all of creation, because this legislation was revealed in Arabic. بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ, in a clear Arabic tongue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he tells us another place in the Quran, Surah An-Nahl, وَلَقَدْ نَعْلَمُ أَنَّهُمْ يَقُولُونَ إِنَّمَا يُعَلِّمُهُ بَشَرٌ, which could be translated to mean, and surely we know that they say no one is teaching him except a human, in reference to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know Quraysh, they lied, and they would come up with every excuse to disprove the miracle of the Quran, that the Quran wasn't from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they would lie and they would say that someone is teaching him among the bashar, among the humans. Allah Azza wa Jalla, he refutes them by saying, لِسَانُ الَّذِي يُلْحِدُونَ إِلَيْهِ أَعْجَمِيٌّ. But the man they refer to speaks a foreign tongue. Whereas, وَهَذَا لِسَانٌ عَرَبِيٌّ مُبِينٌ. Whereas this Quran, it is an eloquent Arabic tongue. SubhanAllah bihamdi. Eloquent Arabic language. I notice how Allah Azza wa Jalla in these verses, when he describes the Quran as being revealed in Arabic, it has tanween. And we wrote a note regarding different meanings entailed within tanween. And this is something that you will not pick up on when you're reading the translation. But if you understand the Arabic language, subhanAllah, you realize the deep meaning of when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ وَهَذَا لِسَانٌ عَرَبِيٌّ مُبِينٌ. Yani when he's using this tanween, it is for elevation. It is elevating the meaning and elevating its status. SubhanAllah. And the one who understands Arabic and he understands the grammar and the different rulings in the Arabic language, they will be able to see the beauty of this Quran and realize that within the meaning. Allah Azza wa Jalla also tells us in Surah Zumar, وَلَقَدْ ضَرَبْنَا لِلنَّاسِ فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ, which could be translated to mean, we have certainly set forth every kind of lesson for the people in this Quran. لَعَلَّهُمْ what? يَتَذَكَّرُونَ, so that perhaps they will be mindful. Then he says, قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا, once again, tanween, to elevate its status and to show you that this is something important. غَيْرَ ذِي عِوَجٍ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَّقُونَ. It is a magnificent Quran, revealed in Arabic without any crookedness. So perhaps they will be or possess taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are some verses where Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks about the Quran being revealed in the Arabic language. And that in and of itself shows the importance of learning Arabic. Yani, just the mere fact that the Quran was revealed in Arabic is sufficient as evidence to show the importance of learning this language. Because if we want to understand the Quran, kalamullah ghayru makhluq, the speech of Allah that is not created, the one whom we all claim we love, then we have to understand the language it was revealed in. And the Sahaba, they understood that. The Sahaba, radiallahu ta'ala anhum, and those who came after them, they understood the importance of this particular lugha. And because they recognized that and they gave attention and care to learn the Arabic language and master the Arabic language, it, as a result, had a tremendous effect on their hearts. And there are many stories to show that. Among them is the famous story that mentions Jubair ibn Mut'im, when he said, radiallahu anhu, that he was once among the greatest enemies of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that he hated him more than any other human being on the face of earth. La ilaha illallah. But he said one time he walked into the masjid and he heard that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was reciting from the Quran, the verse in Surah At-Tur, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ, which could be translated to mean, were they created by absolutely nothing, or were they themselves suggesting that they are the creators? أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ, or are they the creators? Or did they create the heavens and earth? Rather, they have absolutely no idea and they are in utter confusion. بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ, they have no certainty in their statements. And this verse right here shows and is a rebuttal against the atheists. Right? Some people, they believe that the Quran, and they claim to be Muslim, they say that the Quran, it cannot solve our problems here in 2019, 1440 after Hijrah. That we need new techniques, we need new methods in order to combat the kuffar, their attacks against us as Muslims. However, if they only read the Quran and understood the Quran, they would realize that the Quran deals with every single deviant ideology and gives a rebuttal for it and makes them ponder and think. It absolutely destroys their arguments. We have to read and we have to understand, okay? In order for us to utilize those evidences as well, we have to read the Quran and understand it and study it properly with its people. Yani the people of the Quran, people of ilm. So when Jubair ibn Mut'im, he heard these verses being recited by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that his heart was about to fly away. SubhanAllah. Look at the effect the Quran had on Jubair ibn Mut'im. He said his heart was about to fly away. And then he later accepted Islam as a result. And why the Quran has such an effect on Jubair ibn Mut'im is because he understood the Arabic language. He understood the Arabic language and he understood what was being said and the eloquence and the beauty of the lugha. Khayran. Also, we have the famous story of a particular sinner who was sneaking in a person's house ready to steal some goods from that house. And then they heard someone reciting the verse in Surah Al-Hadid, أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَمَا نَزَلَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. Has the time not come for the believers? Has the time not yet come for the believers' hearts to be humbled at the remembrance of Allah and what has been revealed of the truth until the end of the verse? SubhanAllah. So when he heard this verse, he decided to what? Leave off his thievery, breaking into people's houses, robbing people, and he decided to start practicing Islam. So much so, he became one of the major scholars of Islam as a result. What led to that change from being a thief, someone who had no respect for the rights of creation, that they would harm people and take their stuff? What led to that change? It was his understanding of the Arabic language and hearing the beauty and understanding the beauty of the Quran. And even the polytheists of Mecca, the mushrikun, the kuffar of Mecca, couldn't deny the beauty of the Quran and the beauty and the eloquence contained within. As is a famous story mentioned about Walid ibn Mughira. When he heard the Quran, he said, Wallah, he swore by Allah. He said, by Allah, Inna li qawlihi alladhi yaquluhu la halawa. Indeed, it indeed is possessed of great sweetness. Wa inna alayhi la talawa. And adorned with great beauty. وَإِنَّهُ لَمُثْمِرٌ أَعْلَاهُ مُغْدِقٌ أَسْفَلُهُ. Its top is indeed fruitful, and the lowest part of it is gushing forth with bounty. وَإِنَّهُ لَيَعْلُو وَمَا يُعْلَى. And the lowest part of it is gushing forth with bounty. It dominates and it cannot be dominated. SubhanAllah. This is a mushrik, kafir, saying this about the Quran and the beauty of the Quran. Why? Because he understood the lugha. He understood what was being said. And he saw the beauty of the Arabic language in the Quran. SubhanAllah bihamdi. And of course we know when this reached Abu Jahl and the rest of Quraysh, they told him. They said, Wallah, لا يرضى عن قومك حتى تقول فيه. Your people will not be pleased with you until you say something bad about the Quran. So change your statement. So Walid ibn Mughira, he said, فَدَعْنِي حَتَّى أُفَكِّرَ فِيهِ. So leave me alone. So give me some time, give me some respite, so I can think about something I can make up and speak about the Quran. فَلَمَّا فَكَّرَ. So when he thought, right, he came up with the statement, إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ يُؤْثَرٌ. Indeed, this is just some magic that affects. This is just some magic that affects. Khair. And then we know, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he revealed the verses in Surah Al-Muddathir, ذَرْنِي وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَحِيدًا وَجَعَلْتُ لَهُ مَالًا مَمْدُودًا إلى آخر الآيات. طيب. But subhanAllah, this is a clear example of how even the mushrikun and the kuffar were affected by the Quran. And why were they affected? Because they understood the lugha. SubhanAllah. How does a person feel to know that a kafir, a mushrik, right, in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was going to be in the fire for eternity, was able to taste the sweetness of the Quran and understand the beauty of the Quran and be affected by the Quran? Yet we here today, 2019, we are Muslims, and yet we don't have that same dhawqa. We haven't experienced that same beauty, that same taste, that same sweetness, right? That in and of itself should be a motivation for us to learn the Arabic language. How can this mushrik taste the beauty of the Quran and I'm a Muslim, muwahhid, yet I haven't tasted the beauty of this Quran yet? Khairan. So these are just some examples. And wallah, there's so many other examples of how the beauty of the Quran and the eloquence of the Arabic language had an effect on a person's life. On a person's life. So if we want our lives to be affected, then we have to learn the Arabic language. Khairan. If we want to change, if we want to take that next step, if we want to be like those who we read about in terms of the Salaf and those who come after them among the righteous, then we have to learn this beautiful language. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us that ability. Ameen. For this reason, the Salaf, they gave much importance in learning and teaching their families and companions the language. Umar bin Khattab, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said, تَعَلَّمُوا الْعَرَبِيَّةَ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ دِينِكُمْ. To learn the Arabic language, for certainly it is from your religion. وَتَعَلَّمُوا الْفَرَائِضَ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ دِينِكُمْ. And learn inheritance, for verily it is from your deen. And Umar bin Khattab, one time, radiallahu anhu, he wrote to Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, yani an Umar wa Abu Musa. Does anyone know the real name of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari? What was the name of Abu Musa, the great Sahabi al-Ash'ari? Abu Musa is his kunya. Just like my kunya is Abu Awzaa'ee, but my name is Abdus-Salaam. Who knows the name of this great Sahabi? Bismillah. You can write it in the chat. Everyone's on Google. طيب, inshallah ta'ala. This will be a research topic, inshallah ta'ala. Khair. So Umar bin Khattab, he wrote towards Abu Musa, Abdullah bin Qais. Ahsant ya Irfan. Hayakallah. Abdullah bin Qais. Radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So Umar, he wrote to Abdullah bin Qais, radiyallahu anhuma, and he said, أَمَّا بَعْدْ فَتَفَقَّهُ فِي السُّنَّةِ. To proceed, have fiqh, have understanding in the Sunnah. وَتَفَقَّهُ فِي الْعَرَبِيَّةِ, and also have understanding of the Arabic language. وَأَعْرِبُ الْقُرْآنَ فَإِنَّهُ عَرَبِيٌّ. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he wrote and he clarified the reason, or the reason for Umar's statement, تَفَقَّهُ فِي السُّنَّةِ وَتَفَقَّهُ فِي الْعَرَبِيَّةِ, to have understanding in the Sunnah, of the Sunnah, and understanding of the Arabic language. And he said, لِأَنَّ الدِّينَ فِيهِ فِقْهُ أَقْوَالٍ وَأَعْمَالٍ, that's because the deen in it is understanding of statements as well as understanding of actions. فَفِقْهُ الْعَرَبِيَّةِ هُوَ الطَّرِيقُ إِلَى فِقْهِ الْأَقْوَالِ. So understanding of al-Arabiyyah, it is the way in understanding statements. وَفِقْهُ الشَّرِيعَةِ هُوَ الطَّرِيقُ إِلَى فِقْهِ الْأَعْمَالِ. And understanding, having fiqh of the Sharia, it is the way, the path in understanding, or path to, or towards understanding a'mal, the actions. SubhanAllah. So he explains why did he write, have fiqh of the Sunnah and have fiqh of the Arabiyyah. And this is mentioned in اقتضاء الصراط المستقيم لمخالفة أصحاب الجحيم. طيب. Also, it's mentioned that the Sahaba, they would teach their children the Arabic language, and they would actually discipline them if they made mistakes. If they made mistakes in grammar, they would discipline them. Yani, that's how much importance they gave towards the lugha. Imam al-Suyuti, Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, who died at 911 years after Hijrah, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وَلَا شَكَّ أَنَّ عِلْمَ اللُّغَةِ مِنَ الدِّينِ. And there's no doubt that knowledge of the Arabic language is from the deen. لِأَنَّهُ مِنَ الْفُرُوضِ الْكِفَايَاتِ. That is because it is from those actions that take the ruling of fardul kifaya. Does anyone know what's the meaning of fardul kifaya? Is the obligation on the community as a whole. Meaning if some people do it, then no one gets a sin. However, if everyone leaves it off, then everyone is sinful. Like janazah. Yani there's some people who have to pray the janazah. But if everyone leaves it off, then the whole community as a whole is sinful. Likewise, Hajj. Hajj is a communal obligation. All right, there has to be some Muslims every year who make Hajj. And if everyone leaves off Hajj, the whole ummah is considered to be as sinful. طيب? So he mentions that learning the Arabic language is fard al-kifaya, min al-furud al-kifayat, from those actions that are fard al-kifaya. And with it, tu'rafu ma'ani al-fadh al-Qur'an wa sunnah. And with knowledge of it, a person's able to understand and know the meanings of the words found in the Qur'an as well as the sunnah. But some scholars, they differ. Some say that learning the Arabic language is not fardul kifaya, but rather it is something that is fardul wajib. Fardun wajib. It is something that is obligatory. And that is because, as mentioned by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, that فَإِنَّ فَهْمَ الْكِتَابِ وَالسُّنَّةِ فَرْضٌ. That understanding the Quran and Sunnah is something obligatory. Is it permissible for anyone to be ignorant of the Quran and Sunnah? The Shaykh says, no. Everyone has to know the Quran and Sunnah. That's fard. Yani, to the extent that will help them in implementing the obligation, their obligations. They don't have to know the entire Quran, the entire Sunnah, but they have to know that which will help them in establishing the obligations. And anything above that is considered to be a fadla. It's something extra. Khayran. And he says that the Quran and Sunnah la yufham, they're not understood illa bifahmi al-lughat al-arabiyya, except with the understanding of the Arabic language. And he mentions the famous principle وَمَا لَا يُتِمُّ الْوَاجِبْ إِلَّا بِهِ فَهُوَ وَاجِبْ, that whatever obligation is not fulfilled except by certain steps, then those steps themselves become obligatory to fulfill the initial obligation. Meaning, if there's no way of understanding the Quran and Sunnah except through the Arabic language, and understanding the Quran and Sunnah is something obligatory, then the ruling of learning Arabic language now becomes obligatory. Khairan? Now it becomes obligatory. And then he clarifies by saying, ثُمَّ مِنْهَا مَا هُوَ وَاجِبٌ عَلَى الْأَعْيَانِ. Among the language is what is obligatory upon every single person. وَمِنْهَا مَا هُوَ وَاجِبٌ عَلَى الْكِفَايَةِ. And among the language are things that are obligatory upon some of the people. Yani the ulama, they have to learn the details about the Arabic language so that they can clarify, understand the deen, and clarify to the people. As for regular Muslims, the general people, then they have to learn the extent that will help them to carry out their obligations, as we mentioned earlier, right? So they have to learn how to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. They have to learn the alfaz of the salah, the words of the salah, adhkar of the salah, okay, so that they can carry out their salah. They have to know the wordings of hajj when they go make hajj, what to say in Arabic, and the meanings behind them. So it's to the extent of what will help them in establishing their obligation, their obligations. Khairan. Some examples of the Salaf and the importance they gave towards the Arabic language from the Salaf and the Khalaf, those who came after them, after the three virtuous generations. Al-Qurun al-Mufaddala. طيب. If a person wants to study Islam, have understanding of the deen, any science, whether it be Tafseer, whether it be Hadith, whether it be Fiqh, whether it be Aqidah, any science, they have to learn the Arabic language. And this was mentioned by the ulama of every fan, every funun, every science. They mentioned the importance of learning the Arabic language. Let's take a look at what some of the scholars said about Arabic language and understanding the Quran, Tafseer. Abu Hayyan, famous Andalusian scholar in Tafseer, Al-Bahr Al-Muhit. He said, فَجَدِيرٌ لِمَنْ طَاقَتْ نَفْسُهُ إِلَى عِلْمِ التَّفْسِيرِ, that it is befitting for the one who aspires to learn the science of Tafseer أَنْ يَعْتَقِفَ عَلَى كِتَابِ السِّيبَوَيْهِ, for him to seclude himself with the book of Sibawayh. This is in reference to a grammar book, Arabic grammar book. He should seclude himself with this particular book. If he has aspirations in learning Tafseer, the science of Tafseer, the usul of Tafseer, then he has to master and seclude himself with the books of grammar. Specifically, the book of Sibawayh, which is famously known as Al-Kitab. فهو في هذا الفن المعول عليه. For he in this science is in dire need of that book, in proper understanding. والمستند في حل مشكلات إليه. And it's also what? The authority and primary source to solve any potential issues that may arise in a person's understanding. Meaning, if when you read the Quran and there's an issue in the Arabic language that you don't understand within the verse itself, in order to solve that issue that you have, return back to Kitab al-Sibawayh. Yani return back to the books of Nahu, and it will become clear what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. Khairan. So this is a scholar of Tafsir speaking about the importance of the Arabic language in the science of Tafsir. Likewise, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions La bud fi tafsir al-Quran wal hadith, that it is a must in whenever a person provides tafsir of the Quran, explanation of the Quran, interpretation of the Quran and hadith, for them to know what is intended by Allah's speech and the messenger's speech. Okay? And how does he understand that speech? وَكَيْفَ يُفْهَمْ كَلَامُهُ? How is that speech understood? فَمَعْرِفَةُ الْعَرَبِيَّةِ الَّتِي خُوطِبْنَا بِهَا مِمَّا يُعِينُ عَلَىٰ أَنْ نَفْقَهَا مُرَادَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ بِكَلَامِهِ. All right, then it is the Arabic language, knowledge of the Arabic language, the language in which we are addressed in. This language is the thing that's going to help an individual, help us in comprehending and understanding the intent, murad Allah, the intent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa rasulihi, and his messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in their speech. Khayran, in the book of Allah as well as in the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah. And Al-Hasan al-Basri, when he saw that people were deviating in terms of their tafsir of the Quran, right? They were making mistakes in the tafsir of the Quran. He said, "Ahlakathum al-ujmah," that their inability to understand the Arabic language as pure as it was, and their lack of knowledge of that beautiful, eloquent language was that ruined them, that destroyed them. And ujma, the language that the other languages other than Arabic had destroyed them. يَتَأَوَّلُونَهُ عَلَى غَيْرِ تَأْوِيلِهِ. They interpreted the Quran in other than its intended meaning. SubhanAllah. And this is the result of what? Being ignorant of the Arabic language. So this is clear examples of how the ulama of tafsir gave importance to Arabic language in understanding tafsir. Let's take a look at hadith. What did the scholars hadith say about the Arabic language? Hammad bin Salama rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, مَثَلُ الَّذِي يَطْلُبُ الْحَدِيثَ وَلَا يَعْرِفُ النَّحْوَ مَثَلُ الْحِمَارِ عَلَيْهِ مِخْلَاهِ وَلَا شَعِيرَ فِيهَا. He said the likeness of the one who seeks hadith without knowing grammar, without knowing Arabic grammar, is similar to the donkey who has a feed bag, but there's never any barley within it. Yani there's a feed bag, a bag that's used to feed the animal, but there's never food in it. So what's the benefit of that bag? Right? There's no benefit. ما ينفع. There's no benefit within it. طيب? And he's speaking about who? People who know the language but don't know grammar. So then what about the one who doesn't even know the language? Subhanallah bihamdi. All right. Ibn Salah, he mentions in his monumental book in Ulum al-Hadith, entitled Ulum al-Hadith or Muqaddama Ibn Salah, وحق على الطالب الحديث أن يتعلم من النحو واللغة ما يتخلص به من شين اللحن والتحريف. All right, it is the right upon the student of hadith to learn grammar and the language as much that will allow him to liberate himself from the ugliness of grammatical mistakes and changing the meanings of the intended speech. So this is just a summary of what some of the ulama of hadith have said about the Arabic language in hadith. Let's look at fiqh and usul of fiqh. Usul of fiqh, you find many scholars, they place as a condition for the mujtahid to be an alim in the Arabic language. So much so that Shaykhuna Muhammad Ali Adam Ethiopi, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, among the major scholars of hadith in Mecca currently, may Allah preserve him and his family, he said, وَثَانِهَا أَلْسِنَةَ الْعُرْبِ عَلِمْ بِحَيْثُ يَفْهَمُ الْكَلَامُ الْمُلْتَئِمِ. And the second condition for the mujtahid, right, he's mentioning different types of conditions for the mujtahid, is that he must know the language of the Arabs, at which he'll be able to understand the authored speech, the speech of the Salaf. The mujtahid has to know the language of the Arabs. Arabic has to be a must for the mujtahid, for him to understand what has been written in the past. And you find others among the scholars of old, like Imam Ash-Shafi'i, died 204 years after Hijrah, the great Imam, among the Usuliyin. He places it as a condition for the mujtahid, as well as Al-Ghazali, Imam Haramain, Al-Juwayni, Al-Amadi, Al-Qarafi, Al-Futuhi, Al-Tufi, Al-Shawkani. These great Imams in Usul al-Fiqh, they place it as a condition for someone who wants to be a mujtahid. Rather, we find that Ibn Hazm, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that even the mufti, the one who gives fatwa to others, when people come and ask him questions, he gives a response, verdicts, it's obligatory upon him to learn an-nahu, the Arabic grammar, so that he doesn't fall into making mistakes and misguiding the people, idlal al-nas, okay, and misguiding the people as a result of mistakes from his tongue. Imam Ash-Shafi'i, so that's usul al-fiqh. طيب. Let's move on to fiqh. What did the ulama of fiqh say about the language and fiqh, masail of fiqh? Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, لا أسأل عن مسألة من مسائل الفقه إلا, I'm not asked about any issue from the issues of fiqh except that I have أجبت عنها من قواعد النحو. Subhanallah bihamdi. Except that I answered it based off of the principles in grammar. Subhanallah. to make a statement like this from this great Imam. This shows the importance of learning the Arabic language, and especially grammar. Khair. And this shows his proficiency in the language. He's also reported to have said, ما أردت بها, يعني in reference to the lugha al-Arabiya, إلا الاستعانة على الفقه. I didn't want to learn anything from the language except that which will assist me in understanding fiqh. Showing that there's a irtibat wathiq, there's a strong connection between fiqh of the deen and understanding the Arabic language. So much so that Ash-Shatibi, he mentions in the Muwafaqat that if a person has a beginning understanding of the Arabic language, then they will have, as a result, a beginning understanding of the deen, fiqh of the deen. And if a person has an intermediate, mutawassit understanding of the Arabic language, then they will have a mutawassit understanding of the deen. And if a person has an advanced understanding of the Arabic language, then they will have what? An advanced understanding of the deen. SubhanAllah bihamdi. So if a person wants to have true understanding, deep insight regarding their religion, it is a must. It is a must to what? Learn the Arabic language. Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala is also reported that he said, "Man tabahara fi an-nahwi ihtada ila kulli ulum." Ila kulli al-ulum. That whoever learns the Arabic grammar thoroughly, he is guided to all Islamic sciences. It's also mentioned that there was a discussion between Al-Kisa'i, a famous scholar in Nahu as well as Qira'at, and Muhammad bin Hassan al-Shaybani, among the companions of Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah ta'ala, in which Al-Kisa'i, he said, "Man tabahara fi ilm al-nahu ihtada ila sa'ir al-ulum," similar to what has been mentioned by Imam Shafi'i, that whoever learns Arabic grammar thoroughly, he'll be guided to all Islamic sciences. Yani this is the key in understanding all the Islamic sciences. So Muhammad, he said to him, yani Muhammad bin al-Hassan, says, "What do you say? ما تقول في من سها في سجود السهو?" What do you say about the one who is forgetful in his prostration of forgetfulness? Right? We know if we're forgetful in our salah, we got to make what? Sujud al-sahw. أليس كذلك? طيب. What if a person now is forgetful in their sujood al-sahw? What do they do at that point? هل يسجدوا مرة أخرى? Do they make another sajda for that? And the Shaykh, he said, لا. So Muhammad al-Hassan, he said, لماذا? Why is that? Why does he not make that extra sajda? He said, لأن النحاة يقولون المصغر لا يصغر. They say, the nuha, they say that the musaghar, in reference to words like that are put into the form of fu'ail and its other variations, right? So kitabun means a book, kutaib means a small book, right? You can't take the word kutaib and then make it smaller again. Khair, you can't conjugate it again. Khalas, that's it. So similarly with a sahu, once you make sahu, that's it. You can't make another sahu for a sahu. So you see how he derives a fiqh ruling based off his understanding of nahu. SubhanAllah. And scholars have written books regarding the connection between the understanding of Arabic language and how it helps individuals in understanding fiqh. طيبين? So these are just some words regarding the ulama of fiqh, showing the importance of the Arabic language. Imam Ash-Shatibi, he also mentions that there are two things that are incumbent upon the one who observes our legislation, and also the one who speaks about its foundations and branches. And he says that it's obligatory for that individual to not speak about anything from those affairs until he has become an Arab. يعني حتى يكون عربيا. يعني not in terms of lineage, لا, but in terms of his tongue and understanding. He has to be Arab in terms of his tongue and his understanding, or similar to them. Or يعني similar to them. In respect that he knows the Arabic language and has attained the fluency of the Arabs. And when he says the Arabs here, it doesn't mean the Arabs of his time or Arabs in Saudi Arabia, Arab countries. La, yani Arabs in the sense of those who actually have a good understanding of the Arabic language as understood in the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All right, doesn't matter the color of their skin or where they're from, as long as they have that understanding, then they're known as an Arab. Khair. Then he quotes Imam Ash-Shafi'i, where he says, whoever is uneducated, فَمَنْ جَهِلَ in the tongue in which the Quran was revealed in, or in which the Sunnah has come with, and he has assumed the responsibility of speaking about knowledge that is contained within the Kitab or Sunnah without having proficiency in the language, and without being proficient, then even if his statement about the Quran and Sunnah is correct, it is غَيْرَ مَحْمُودَةً. It is not praiseworthy. And Allah knows best. And if he were to fall into a mistake, it is not excused for that type of individual, since he took the responsibility to speak about something he has no knowledge of. SubhanAllah. So the one who hasn't mastered the Arabic language, if he speaks about the Quran and Sunnah, even if he's correct in his statement, among Ahl Ilm, his actions are not praiseworthy. Why? Because he doesn't have the knowledge of the Arabic. Khair. And if he makes a mistake, then he is not excused for that mistake. SubhanAllah. Because he took the responsibility of speaking about the deen without having knowledge of Arabic. Tayyib. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that the Arabic tongue is the symbol of Islam and its people. And languages are of the most significant signs by which nations are distinguished. Nations, they're distinguished by the language they speak. And us as a Muslim ummah, we are distinguished with Arabic. Wallahi alhamd. So as a result, we should have a relationship with this beautiful language. We should try to learn it, spend our time understanding it, so that we may understand the book of Allah. And Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he also says in Iqtida Sirat al-Mustaqim, that becoming accustomed to proper Arabic language does not only have an effect upon the tongue, meaning it doesn't just, you just don't only speak it, you're able to speak it, and that's it. La. Rather, its effects are deeper to such an extent that it has a clear and major impact on one's mind and conduct and religious practice. SubhanAllah. It also has an impact on an individual resembling the companions and their followers, who were the foremost of this ummah. Resembling them enhances a person's mind, religious practice, and conduct. La ilaha illallah. That learning Arabic language, it brings you closer to Allah. It develops more love for the Quran and Sunnah, and it drives you to practice Islam. Tayyibin. So, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, we have 2 more minutes and we'll end with this. I'll leave you with these couple of ayat to think about and to ponder. Ibn Ta'ala, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He tells us in the Quran, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَذِكْرَى لِمَنْ كَانَ لَهُ قَلْبٌ أَوْ أَلْقَى السَّمْعَ وَهُوَ شَهِيدٌ. He says what could be translated to mean, indeed, in reference to the Quran, is a reminder for whoever has a heart or who listens while he is present in mind. SubhanAllah. Just think about your relationship with the Quran. When you hear the Quran, does this verse relate to you? Whenever you hear the Quran, are you able to benefit from what's being said, the reminder within? Is your heart attentive, ready to take in the heaviness of the Quran and what is contained within? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And when the Quran is recited, then listen to it. This is a command. فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ. And pay attention that you may receive mercy. SubhanAllah. Here's a command from Rabbul Alameen. Is there any Muslim on earth who has any shred of taqwa, any piece of taqwa in their heart? When they hear a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they would leave off that command? Allah tells us to listen to it and pay attention so that you may receive mercy. Are we able to listen to it and pay attention to what's being said and benefit from what's being said? Just ask yourself that question. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Do they not then reflect over the Quran, or are there locks upon their hearts? SubhanAllah. When the Quran is recited, when we read the Quran, are we reflecting over its meaning? Do we understand what's being said? Are we reflecting over its meanings? Or are there locks upon our hearts? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, and we'll close with this last verse, Ibn Ta'ala, towards the end of Surah Al-Hashr, where He says, لَوْ أَنزَلْنَا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ عَلَى جَبَلٍ لَرَأَيْتَهُ خَاشِعًا مُتَصَدِّعًا مِنْ خَشْيَةِ اللَّهِ. SubhanAllah bihamdi. Had we sent down this Quran upon a mountain, you would have certainly seen it humbled and torn apart in awe of Allah. La ilaha illallah. We set these comparisons for the people so that perhaps they may reflect. SubhanAllah bihamdi. This is what the effect of the Quran and the eloquence of the Quran has on a mountain. If it was set upon a mountain, it would crush. It will be torn apart out of awe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then, what effect does the Quran have on our hearts? Does it have the same effect? Or is it ashaddu qaswa, wa riyadhu billah, harder than the rock, harder than the mountain, wa riyadhu billah. So, these are just some things we should think about and ponder. And inshallah ta'ala, we should be motivated at this point to make a schedule, daily schedule in learning this beautiful language so that we could be affected by the Quran, just as how it affected those before us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us understanding of this beautiful lugha. May Allah azza wa jalla make the Quran a spring of our hearts, as well as a light for our chests, as well as a reliever for our distresses. May Allah azza wa jalla teach us the Quran, teach us the Sunnah, and teach us its lugha. May Allah azza wa jalla make us among the people of the Quran, the people of the Sunnah. May Allah azza wa jalla grant us all success and allow us to be better from this moment onwards. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. If there's anything that was said and it was correct, then it's only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we thank Him for that. And if there was anything that was incorrect, then it's only from my ignorance and from the whispers of shaitan, and I make repentance, and Allah azza wa jalla is free from it. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah certainly knows best. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله